Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And just like that, we're off. We are running. It is another brand new live edition of Talkin' Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Welcome in on a Saturday morning. That's right, we are live from University Kia on a Saturday morning. Welcome into the show, 256-576-4977. That's the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, and you can join the show throughout the 2 hours if you would like to. It's that simple and that easy. It is a Saturday, so that means we'll get you ready for what will be a busy weekend of SEC basketball, a busy weekend of NFL football as well. Plenty to get to today in the NFL. It's the divisional round of the playoffs, but we do start you off with, and we filled you in earlier in the week that this could happen. Huntsville wins the 7A Dual State Wrestling Championship yesterday. They actually would trail 12-6 out of the gates over Smith Station, but then after that, Huntsville reeled off not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, but 6 individual wins in a row, and they steamroll Smith Station 59-6 to capture the 23 Class 7A dual title at Bill Harris Arena. Patrick Harris, the head coach there of Huntsville, they ended Thompson's 4-year dual reign. They beat the Warriors in the semifinals and then get to the finals and dominate Smith Station. Dalton Wood, Eric Short, Griffin McKinney, Todd Whitmire, Keon Simon, Bradley Wilburn, Wallace Blue, they all earn wins along the way. So congratulations to Huntsville in winning that 7A dual state championship.
Yeah, because they had played, they had the dual meet with Thompson over at Huntsville. And as you mentioned, Scott, Thompson, much like in football, is a powerhouse in wrestling. And
yeah,
I know we had a chance as this coaching staff at Huntsville High, and I was with them. And last Friday, not yesterday, but a week ago Friday, we were talking with their assistant coaches. This was going into the Thompson dual meet, and they felt like they matched up well, and they had a good shot to win it. And if they got to the state finals, that they had a really good shot, and boy did they. I mean, you know, they took care of Thompson, systematically beat them down, and I had a listener send me some photos from the dual meet over at Huntsville, and then as you just detailed, they were down 12-6 early, but then woof. You're talking about a way to finish. And then for the listeners, I think you mentioned this yesterday, but I know and you've emceed the finals over at the BBC.
Yes.
But, yeah, tell them once again what the difference is between winning the duels and then the other state meet.
Right. The duel is the whole entire team automatically qualifies.
Yeah.
You send your best team to this. Yeah. I mean, no matter what. There is no qualification for weight class or whatever. You send your best team, and you do the wrestling duels. Basically, it is team versus team, mano a mano.
Points.
And
how many points
it's just like the NCAA tournament or the high school basketball tournament. You're faced up against the teams in a bracket-style competition, and you try to get through it bracket-style to win this. Now, the state wrestling tournament, each team has to have each weight class qualify to get to the tournament. So you got to go through sectionals to advance to the state wrestling tournament, which, by the way, again, will come up later in February here in Huntsville.
That's right.
But this here is always a good precursor to that. there are several states across the country that set up this way. The NCAA wrestling actually has your dual champion, and then they have your NCAA champion as well. So this is just kind of keeps us in line with the rest of the country as far as high school wrestling goes. But congratulations to Huntsville again. They are very impressive in winning the 7A, but Thompson then took it out on Enterprise in the consolation match. 68-3 was the final there. Mountain Brook wins your 6A duels. Hartselle, congratulations. They pick up the consolation 6A, so they finished third in 6A, so the Hartselle Tigers there. But again, congratulations there. Always good to start with good news out of the high school level here. And I imagine last night was another busy night of high school basketball in our area as well.
It was. I was over at Huntsville High for their matchup with May Jemison. It was 66-43. I got to give a shout out to Merrick McCartney. Got his first start of his career last night, the junior, and led the Panthers with 17 points, shot the ball exceptionally well. He was the only player in double figures, but since Huntsville, Scott had played Wednesday, as you know, against Pinson Valley in the 256-205 challenge on the road, Coach Swears was, I think, trying to limit the minutes of some of the starters. Especially once they took control of the game, he was playing everybody because, trying to give rest some guys legs because really, honestly, the Amen corner,
right,
to use a golf term since the Masters is just right around the corner here, is for Huntsville next week and into the Tuesday. The next week and a half, they've got 3 straight area games. They're 3-0 in the area right now. They're in control of it, but they have to close it out. And so he's going to try to, have guys as fresh as possible because to piggyback off of that, and big shout out, Grissom last night at home, as they call it the jungle, they take out Sparkman, held Sparkman scoreless for the entire second quarter.
44-39 that final.
Win that one. And so what that means is Grissom is 4-1 in the area. Grissom has 1 area game left. It's at Huntsville. That will be this coming Friday. So if Huntsville beats Albertville on the road Tuesday, basically what it sets up is a winner-take-all area championship because if
Grissom can finish no worse than second in the area right now.
If they beat Huntsville, they would win it.
Yes.
And if they lose to Huntsville, Huntsville would win it if Huntsville beats Albertville. So now I will say this, though. Huntsville would still have a small chance, or I guess you could even say a coin flip, if they beat Albertville but lose to Grissom because they could beat Sparkman, and then they would both have 1 loss, and then they'd split with each other, and that it'd be a coin flip. But I say small chance because you don't want to depend on a coin flip.
Nope.
So right now, Grissom is in second place, but that win for them was huge last night because if Huntsville beats Albertville, it just means there's a ton at stake for the rematch over at Huntsville High, and even with Grissom's adversity this year, they've done a great job. They beat Oak Mountain in the 256-205 challenge on the road, and then they beat Sparkman. I think they're 21-6 right now, so huge credit to them. And Huntsville's now 17-8, so they're Huntsville's 5th in the state right now. Grissom 7th, Sparkman 8th. 3 really good teams, and unfortunately, one of them is not going to get out of the area tournament. But right now, Huntsville and Grissom are going to either finish 1 or 2. That's going to be your area champion or your runner-up, which means the area tournament is either going to be at Huntsville or at Grissom, and that Sparkman will be playing in that 2-3 game.
So Izzy Miles, 18 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Justin McCall, 16, 4, 1, and 2 for the Tigers last night in that win. So we are, believe it or not, I mean, it's hard to believe. I mean, we sit here and we talk about it, but, man, we are area play about ready to wrap up. We're about ready to get into the area tournaments.
Yeah, by the end of this month. I mean, really honestly.
It's just flying by.
I mean, our date right now is the 21st. There is 10 days. Well, let me take that back. 2 weeks. There's really about 2 weeks left in the regular season.
Well, you're right with 10 days. There's only 10 days left in the month.
Well, there is in the month, but Huntsville, Grissom, some of these other, they're going to have senior nights on like February the 2nd and things like that nature. But it's February the 3rd. But there's really only 2 weeks left in the regular season, and then your rules of the AHSAA, that they decide to follow.
For those that were paying attention, they did deny Adam Mosley's appeal on Wednesday to allow him to coach the year. They denied his appeal.
Yeah, so he'll have to, like I said, he'll have to pull the Boston Red Sox and set up some cans and whatever. Maybe as he's sitting in the stands and, maybe smack his seat a couple times.
Houston Astro cheating there.
I'm not saying that, and I'm not accusing Adam Mosley of that. I'm just saying get creative since they screwed him over. He can sit there and coach from the stands and
they screwed him over. Yes,
just maybe touch his hat one time or then boom or whatever.
Or eat a sandwich and that indicates something.
If I have a bologna sandwich, call pitches in this sequence, and if I have a hot dog, call them in it. I don't know.
Everyone's looking at their wristbands, going, "Okay, what does a hot dog mean?"
Yeah, they got these Apple Watches. You can sit there and send text messages. Well, I don't know. I mean, he shouldn't be having to take a year off. This is totally stupid. But anyway, like I'm saying, with the regular season for high school team, now you don't have to play 30, but your limit is 30. So Huntsville has got 5 games left. They're going to play 30. Most will. And so they try to play as many as they can. And so there's about 2 weeks left in the regular season. And then I've also was told about this. The winner, whether it's Grissom or Huntsville, and now we know it's going to be one of them, they set the dates for the area tournament. So the dates are to be determined. But you're right. The next week, that second week in February, it's first full week really, that's going to be when the area tournaments start up.
All right, so that's how we get you started with a little high school news, 256-576-4977. We are live from University Kia along University Drive, the #1 volume, the largest volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Don't forget, get on out here. They have got an excellent selection of new vehicles, great selection of used vehicles, and if you're in the mood for something and they don't have it, just sit down with one of the people here at University Kia, and they will hunt it down for you. They will search it. They will get it. I can tell you because I actually drive a car from University Kia. Let's get our first break in. When we come back, we will talk some college basketball as well as some NFL football. We have got divisional play kicking off today and SEC play tipping off in a matter of hour. We'll get you started coming up next live from University Kia.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
It's the event beer lovers wait for all year. The 7th Annual Von Brewski Beer Festival, presented by Publix. Enjoy over 120 brews from over 50 breweries, plus live music, hot pretzels, brats, and more. Saturday, January 28th in the VBC South Hall. Tickets available at vonbrauncenter.com or at the VBC box office. Admission is $50 in advance or $60 at the door. Non-beer sampling tickets are just $15 and the cash bar will be open. Must be 21 or older for entry. Rambo Marine in Hazel Green is your one-stop shop for all things boating. Whether you are ready to surf with the newest Malibu wake boat or cruise on a Cobalt or Barletta pontoon, we have a boat ready for you and your family. Rambo Marine provides exceptional service second to none, so that you are ready to hit the water in no time. Stop by Rambo Marine today. We know boats.
Hi, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to kickstart the new year with 0% interest. We've got financing as low as 0% APR for 36 months on 2022 and 2023 models of F-150, Explorer, Edge, and Escape. Plus, there's an extra $1,000 bonus cash on F-150 XLT. Come on in to Woody Anderson Ford today and choose from over 100 F-150s and nearly 50 Explorers. I bet you can find exactly what you're looking for. And we've also got longer-term financing as low as 4.9% for up to 72 months. It's available on 2022 F-150, Explorer, Edge, Escape, and Mustang. With your good credit, these offers are through Ford Motor Credit. Offers end January 31st. At Woody Anderson Ford, we'd be glad to walk you through the online ordering, too. Plus, you'll get $1,000 bonus cash. Come see us and let's get 2023 off to a great start. Woody Anderson Ford, Jordan at Sparkman. Hope to see you soon.
This is Steve Moulton for Lee's Magic Tunnel. Do you live out of your car? Does your car look like you've been well lived in? Then take your vehicle to Lee's Magic Tunnel, located on the Parkway. Any size of the vehicle, it doesn't matter, Lee's will get it clean. Offering many types of washes, but getting it clean inside and out. Ask for the manager special. That's at Lee's Magic Tunnel, located on the Parkway, and located online at leesmagictunnel.com for more information.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly to mostly cloudy sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid-50s. An isolated shower certainly can't be ruled out across the Tennessee Valley, especially south of the river. But better opportunities for widespread rain are going to move in as we head into the overnight and then early into your Sunday morning. That's when the vast majority of the rain is going to fall. Scattered showers are going to be possible through Sunday afternoon. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This will turn journalism on its ear.
Watch our stream on WZZN TV on Twitch and YouTube.
But you are the greatest hero in American history.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Hi, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you on a Saturday morning. Yeah, we're live. 256-576-4977. You can join the program and join us from University Kia right along University Drive, as they are the number one volume, largest volume, best Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. And this is our first time here since the calendar turned for the new year being here at University Kia. And let me tell you, they have got a great selection, great financing deals, everything available for you here at University Kia. So come on out here, University Kia, on a Saturday. Beautiful day to go car shopping if you need a new vehicle. And if you want to spend some time with 97.7 ESPN The Zone today, today's your day to do so as far as college basketball goes. Don't forget, coming up at 2 o'clock right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone, the UAH women are going to take on West Alabama. And then at 4, you've got to download the app so you can listen to UAH men take on West Alabama on 97.7 ESPN The Zone 2, because coming up later today on 97.7 ESPN The Zone at 5 o'clock, 4th-ranked Alabama travels to take on Missouri. They're in Columbia, Alabama, a 5-point favorite on the road over the Tigers. And in case you missed it yesterday, Kobe Brown releasing his own clothing apparel line that you can go buy, Kobe Brown apparel and merchandise.
Well, I guess that's one of the things that Greg Brown was overseeing, as he's been a traveling man this basketball season, going to watch his sons play. So the Kobe Brown apparel,
because taking advantage of the NIL stuff.
Right.
Yep.
Which, because he's averaged 16 points a game in the SEC, he deserves. Jalen Rashada does not deserve a clothing line or any other bull crap that he and his family want as far as up front before he's ever played a down of flipping football.
So Kobe Brown, let's see here. Excited to announce the launch. He launched it. It's KB24 LLC. Mm-hmm. Merchandise is on sale. You can buy it at his website at kobebrown.net. Mm-hmm. That is where you can go and you can purchase some Kobe Brown material. Of course, Kobe Brown, a former Lehigh general who is just on a tear right now for the Missouri Tigers. Has a nice little KB logo.
Yes, very well designed.
KB logo. Feature items are you can buy the T-shirt's only $25. A hoodie is $45. Mm-hmm. So there you go. So some good stuff. Let's see here. It says load more. Let me see if there's a hat there. Nope. No, there's all kinds of T-shirts and stuff there.
Well, more power to him, man.
Yeah, but anyway, my point there is last year Kobe Brown used the Alabama game as a game to really kind of put himself on a stage. He really exploded in that Alabama game at Columbia, by the way.
Yeah.
Columbia, a tough place to play. It'll be full today for Alabama. What does Alabama have to do now? Alabama has played well defensively. They have done well rebounding so far. That was a huge thing for them last year, was not able to rebound, especially in Columbia. But what does Alabama have to do today to come away with a win in Columbia and not have a repeat of what happened last year?
No, they've got to take care of the basketball first and foremost, because Missouri wants to pressure you and disrupt you. So Jaden Bradley, Sears, JQ, those guys got to take care of the rock. And then, of course, they have to defend and rebound, because Missouri is even more if you go with offensive efficiency, is even more dangerous than Alabama. They score a ton of points. So it's the three things: limit your turnovers, defend, and rebound. And Alabama probably, to get a win on the road, they probably need to hold Missouri in the low 70s, I would say. 78, 73, 78, 71, something like that. The game doesn't need to be getting into the 80s and 90s, and I believe it was something like 92 to 86 last year. Alabama didn't guard a lamppost. But, of course, that team didn't half the time. They were too busy worrying about Instagram and one mixtape tours and all this and NBA draft and all this other crap. So you just have to focus on the things you can control. I mean, you've got to defend, rebound, and then, as we said, take care of the basketball offensively. And if they do that, I think they're the better team. But Missouri is very good on their home court. Alabama hasn't won there since the Avery Johnson era. When Avery Johnson Jr. had one of his better games, and you can count those on one hand. He had a double-figure scoring a night. I think Dazon Ingram had a nice game, and Alabama got a win. But that was several years ago. So
right.
They've struggled. I believe Nate Oates said this in his press conference yesterday, Scott. It's the only place in the league, and this is year 4 for Nate Oates. Okay. I think it's the only place he hasn't won. Because remember, during the COVID year, he won at Rupp.
Right.
So he's won just about everywhere else, and he won at Auburn. And even though this 28-game home winning streak, they swept Auburn that year. So this is like the voodoo place. So we'll see if they can finally solve it, and play good basketball and get a win. It ain't going to be easy, because Missouri's 14-4. Missouri right now would be an NCAA tournament team. They're a good team. They've got Kobe Brown. They've got a bunch of interesting transfers from some from like lower division schools, like Division II schools, but they're very good offensively. And so again, but I will say, last week Vanderbilt went to Como, and it was 85-82. So it was a good game. Vanderbilt gave them a very good game, so we'll see.
They gave Kansas all they could handle there in Columbia, I believe, in the preseason.
Well, they got soundly thumped on a neutral floor by Kansas.
Okay, I thought that one was.
They beat Illinois.
That's what it was.
They beat Illinois.
They beat Illinois.
Yes, they certainly did.
In a border battle, I believe that's what they call that.
That is correct. They beat Illinois really badly. And so they've got a good basketball team, and so it's going to be. And they beat Kentucky. You've already mentioned 84-70. So they beat Kentucky soundly. So it's going to be a tough road game for Alabama. It's interesting that Alabama's a 5-point favorite. I was looking at some of the other spreads. It's interesting. It's in Rupp, of course, but that Kentucky is a 5-point favorite over conference unbeaten Texas A&M. Well, I'm not going to call them A&M.
Because it's they're what we need to get, because when during the football season we reached out and we had the play-by-play guy on for football. He also does for basketball. We need to bring him on and let him talk
to him than the liar.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll just lie straight to your face.
Right, but okay, so you're surprised that Kentucky is only a 5-point favorite. But I mean, does that say? I mean, I'm looking at that thinking, okay, Kentucky's a 5-point favorite. If that was an average, or is this an average Kentucky team? If this was a better than average Kentucky team, that would probably be a 9-10-point favorite game there in Rupp. Is 5 just showing us a sign that Kentucky's an average ball club at best?
I mean, we're trying to figure that out. I'm not sure we have yet. I'll be honest with you. We're going to really figure out how good Mizzou is today. I think we know how good Alabama is with their schedule they've played. But this is probably, considering Alabama's number 4 in the country, Missouri's second biggest game of the year. The reason I say second biggest is because Kansas is a border rival, and Kansas has been in the top 2 to 3 in the country all year, okay? And so they've already gotten whacked by Kansas. but they've had a good year. Dennis Gates, I think we've already talked about it. Missouri and Georgia, to me, are the two surprise teams in the league.
Georgia 3-2 in league play.
Yeah.
Missouri 3-3. Texas A&M, by the way, their 5 conference wins have come in a row.
Yeah.
Florida, LSU, Missouri, at South Carolina. Okay, at Florida versus Florida. So they beat Florida twice already. They've already played the Gators twice.
Yeah. At
South Carolina and home against Missouri and home against LSU. Those are the 5 conference wins for Buzz Peterson and Texas A&M.
Buzz Williams now.
Or Buzz. Why am I saying Buzz Peterson? I'm thinking
because
Tennessee.
you're thinking of Jordan, because that's Jordan's friend.
Yes,
okay?
yes. I'm thinking of the Buzz Williams.
Can you imagine getting a car every year, which is what I heard that happened?
He gets a new.
No. I don't know if it's still happening. I'm just saying when Jordan was playing in the NBA and Buzz was his roommate at North Carolina, and a Ford Explorer would just show up in the front of your house.
I wouldn't complain.
I wouldn't either.
I wouldn't complain.
Probably not having to pay for it either.
But that's Texas A&M's.
And we're not talking about NIL here either.
That's Texas A&M's 5 wins so far. So we're going to find out more
we're
about the Aggies.
I mean, because they were disappointing in the pre-conference. I mean, they lost 5 games.
Well, they lost to Memphis. They lost to Wofford. They lost to Boise State.
Yeah,
they lost to Colorado. They lost to Murray State.
And this is not a good Colorado team. They're barely above 500. So, but so far, but I will say, you just went over their schedule. I don't exactly think A&M has played the murderer's row of the league.
That's what I was trying to go. I mean, LSU is.
We're going to find out a lot more about A&M in Rupp today.
Yes. All right, let's get a break in because Blake Lovell will help us figure out what we should pay attention to and pay attention to more in the SEC today as we talk college basketball with Blake Lovell coming up next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
The Drive.
You know, both those guys have done a good job in what we've asked them to do, and both of them have developed nicely, and both of them have consistently made plays.
Wes and Steve.
Their decision-making, their judgment, their ability not to force things and take what the defense gives and distribute the ball with good decision-making, down in, down out, is probably the only thing that's going to be any different about them because it's not physical ability or talent. So it's intangibles, leadership, decision-making, judgment, and all those types of things. And, both guys have done a good job in that regard as well.
Listen to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton each weekday afternoon starting at 5. We are your home of ESPN Radio, 97.7 The Zone.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly to mostly cloudy sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid-50s. An isolated shower certainly can't be ruled out across the Tennessee Valley, especially south of the river. But better opportunities for widespread rain are going to move in as we head into the overnight and then early into your Sunday morning. That's when the vast majority of the rain is going to fall. Scattered showers are going to be possible through Sunday afternoon. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You know, this process is all about talking ball.
Listen to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond.
What did they want privacy for? To just start talking ball.
Every weekday morning, wake up with Scott and Drew. It's Talkin' Ball. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We tried to set the table up there. We put your starting five out there to get you ready for a little college basketball on a Saturday. If you look around the rest of the SEC, Auburn is in action today as they will travel to take on South Carolina. That one will get underway at 2:30. You've got 9th-ranked Tennessee on the road at LSU. Mississippi State will entertain Florida. Georgia entertains Vanderbilt. And Arkansas and Eric Musselman will try, I don't even know if it's righting the ship. They will just try to take 5-gallon buckets and try to throw the water overboard that has already come on the ship as they will welcome Ole Miss and Kermit Davis.
They will. It's going to be very interesting because Ole Miss is coming off of a road win. They got their first win in the league, and I felt good for Kermit.
Yeah.
They got a nice win, 70-58 on the road at South Kakalaki, where Auburn's headed today. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Alabama-Missouri matchup, of course, the intrigue of Texas A&M Kentucky with our next guest, and he's with Southeastern 14, also Blue Ribbon Basketball, the Bible when it comes to college basketball to many folks, and that's Blake Lovell, and he's with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline on this Saturday. Blake, good morning.
Hey guys, how are you?
Hey,
Doing good, Blake.
Good, Blake. Yeah, we're doing well, man. Thanks for joining us. And just real quickly, I mean, I know Scott was talking about taking buckets and they're trying to keep it out of keep the boat from sinking. But how much trouble is Arkansas in?
Yeah, they're not in a great spot right now because I think this bill's a little bit different than the past couple of years where, they've gotten off to a slow start in SEC play. And last year they were 0-3 and they lost 5 of 6, and I think the year before they were 2-4. This one's different because I don't think this team, I don't know, obviously it's missing something. We know what the something is. We know it's Nick Smith. We know it's Southern Brazil. I think they were, 2 of the top 3 players on that team. And you take those 2 guys out of the mix, and I think it just completely changes the dynamic here. And I think, honestly, guys, that's the biggest issue they're running into is, and you know how Mustard always want to play 5 or 6 guys. He's not someone who wants to go out and play 9 or 10 guys. He says, he'll find his guy, he'll go with him, and it's gotten Arkansas very far, gotten Nevada very far when he did that. But now, he's kind of having to shorten that and keep it at 6 or whatever, but yet I think you're playing guys that would not have played the type of minutes that they're having to play now. And that's not a knock on those guys. It's just that they're not Nick Smith, they're not Southern Brazil. And so I think having to change your rotation basically every game, not knowing what you're going to get game in and game out from a consistency standpoint, it's just put Arkansas in a rough spot. And they haven't played, the easiest schedule by any means so far. But I just don't think that they can score the ball consistently. Obviously, from outside, they can't shoot. And then I think you have the fact they're slipping defensively, and you combine those 2 things together. The bad spot to be in, but luckily, their schedule is getting very nice, I think, from here on, at least over the next week and a half or so, or 2 weeks or so. They got Ole Miss, LSU, A&M, and South Carolina coming up next. I think those are all winnable, and that's what I think gets you right back to 500 and back in the game. But for this team, it's going to be a struggle because I just don't know if they have found that extra points that the other 2 teams have.
And we thought, and Arkansas put a lot of energy into that Alabama game when Alabama came in there, and Alabama looked awfully impressive in that road win. Now Alabama today is going to try to take that same energy, that same style, that same mentality, and go on the road where Kentucky had been embarrassed, Illinois has been embarrassed. Alabama's got a road game with Missouri today.
Yeah, I mean, I think, for Missouri, I mean, I think all these kind of games, Kansas being the probably the biggest thing was given the rivalry there. And obviously didn't play well, but I think that, I don't think that's an indicator, guys, of what could come here, but let's be honest, if Missouri doesn't play defense, it could be. Because, I mean, I think, you're talking about an Alabama team, offensively, we know how good they are, and I don't think it's going to be, a 28-point repeat or anything like it was in the Kansas game, but that's the one thing that I worry about with Missouri. As high as I am on them, knowing that they can score with anybody, I think, they just missed some shots in those two road games they lost to A&M and Florida. It's kind of uncharacteristic of them to do that, but I think against Alabama, they're home. Obviously, you got a lot of teams Missouri plays better at home than they do on the road, and the place is going to be rocking, as you know. And one of the things that I think Missouri's strength, half-court defense is not it. If you watch Missouri play, definitely not it. But they can force turnovers. And what is the one thing you think Alabama do at times? And that's turn the ball over, right? So I think that is an area that you kind of circle as one of the biggest keys for Missouri here. They have to force a lot of turnovers. And I think they have to be able to convert those turnovers into points, because I don't think they're good enough in the half court just to come out and try to defend what Alabama's going to do, getting up and down the floor, getting the easy buckets, shooting a lot of threes. I think that's why I do think Missouri's got a chance here. Don't get me wrong, because I think they're good enough offensively to keep up. But I just don't know if you can sit here and bank on Missouri pulling up to it, even with all the elements involved, because I just think Alabama is much better defensively, and obviously they're very good offensively to the point that if Missouri just is not consistent on that side of the floor, which they've knocked in for most of the season, that would worry me a little bit from preventing those Alabama-type runs where all of a sudden you look at a 1-point game goes to a 12-point game and things get out of hand from there.
Well, and as I said before you came on, Blake, we're talking to Blake Lovell again, Blue Ribbon Basketball, and also Southeastern 14 with our good friend Chris Lee. If Alabama takes care of the ball, Jaden Bradley has moved into the starting lineup due to the injury to Damari Burnett. It looks like Burnett could be back maybe as early as next week, according to Nate Oates. He's got the cast off, and he's shooting and working his way back. But if they take care of the basketball with Mark Sears and JQ, that's going to be the key, because Missouri thrives on disruption and pressure. And if Alabama, they've been keeping their turnovers down lately. We know it was rough early in the season, but if they continue what they've done, then they can get a road win.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing is, obviously there's been a lot going on. And I know people can kind of talk about the mindset and those kind of things. But, if you do just look at kind of what we've seen from Alabama, I mean, it's just a team that, again, they've won every SEC game by double digits. And, I mean, how many teams have we said that about in their first 6 SEC games over the years? It's been, it's not easy to do, no matter what your schedule looks like and all that. And they play, quality competition in different settings. Memorial, not an easy place to play for Alabama. Everyone know that. Winning at Arkansas, tough thing to do, but they did it. So the same way. This is just a team that has that, extra something, and like I said, maybe it's as simple as having Brandon Miller, because that can certainly, ease a lot of problems just having a player like that. But I think right now, you're looking at, which I've said it, guys, not to be surprised, and guys that's just kind of looking at my separate class this week. I think they're the best team in the country, and I think right now, if you had to, play down your money on someone to win the national championship without having a bracket, I think Alabama's probably the team to do it on, because I just think that they have all the elements you need. And of course, you guys know, one thing we talked about a whole lot last year was it's never been a talent thing, but last year I don't think they certainly didn't have the defense, but I also don't think they really had the chemistry. This team has the defense, they have the chemistry, and they have one of the best players in the country that is now, surrounded by what you could really call, a bunch of the top sort of rising stars in college basketball, with a lot of other freshmen. Obviously, Mark Sears, what he's done. I mean, it's kind of a complete package, I think, when you look at this Alabama team and really understand all the things they can do. So, yeah, that's what's going to make them the favorite heading into the team in this Missouri. And quite honestly, I'd be surprised if anyone tops Alabama in terms of winning the SEC this season.
Yeah, we kind of understand what we're going to get from Alabama night in and night out. We're understanding that a little bit more. Auburn travels to South Carolina today, where we're still trying to figure out what we're going to get week in, week out, night in, night out from a Bruce Pearl team.
Yeah, I think the thing with Auburn is that they're playing better now, and I think that, after that loss to Georgia, you really kind of looked at them and thought, boy, what are you going to get from them? But I think we're starting to see them kind of turn the page a little bit off. And I'm not saying this is going to be a vintage Bruce Pearl team the rest of the way where they're just going to be spectacular in the offense again every single night. But the thing is, I do think they're starting to do some things better. And where that comes in, it's not just maybe relying on one or two guys. It's kind of understanding now. They're getting some consistency out of Allen Fleming, which I've always been very important. I mean, he scored at least 8 points in the last 5 games. I mean, that's essential for this team that doesn't, have a Jabari Smith that doesn't come out 430, right? And I think that's what's been important for them. I mean, I said David Williams probably one of the top 5 most underrated players. Really, I don't think he gets enough credit for the things he can do. And now he's coming along and being a lot more consistent. And Wendell Green, honestly, guys, statistically, Wendell Green is probably a top 5-6 player in the league, just in terms of the things that he brings to the table. So I think that's kind of an underrated aspect too. He's continuing to kind of do what he does, and that's really helping your team. So you add Green to the mix, you add some guys off the bench that make the job. I mean, Lou Berman comes in and scores 8 points last game. I know it's not a lot, right? But those are the kind of things that they're getting a little production from a lot of different sides, and I think that's why they're starting to move forward and maybe kind of reset our expectations a little bit. I'm not saying they're going to get to the level that they got to last season, but I do think they are clearly now, to me, the number 3 team in the SEC. I think they're easily the third best team in the league. And, before, you could probably have that debate about, Auburn's 5, 6 maybe, and you didn't really know, what you felt like there. But now, yes, partially because I don't think the league is as strong as we thought it was going to be, but I also think Auburn's doing a lot of good things. And they went 4 games in a row, 2 road games included in there. Now you replace South Carolina team that, quite frankly, could historically be bad depending on how they end the season. I think Auburn's sitting in a pretty good spot.
Well, and right now, this is Scott and I were talking about this. It's really my most intriguing game because they had a poor pre-conference, but they've taken advantage of their early schedule. I don't know that it's been the most difficult. You just talked about the league maybe not being as good as we thought, but still a very interesting matchup with Texas A&M and Buzz Williams going on the road and taking on Kentucky. Kentucky has looked better the last couple.
Yeah, they have, and I mean, I think this is like a improvement game for Kentucky because, I mean, we know, guys, like, the way Texas A&M plays, they started to figure out some things defensively, and I mean, that was their problem early in the season. Look at that. Like, man, A&M's given up 103 to Colorado, they're given up 88 to Murray State, 86 to Boise State. They're just not as good defensively, and that's kind of something that maybe surprised you was that based on what the expectations were for them coming into the season, but now the way they play is the kind of way I think Kentucky doesn't want to play, and I think that's going to make this very interesting because, I mean, let's be honest though, like, I've said it to people the last couple of days, is you can say Tennessee's the same way, right? Tennessee plays the way Kentucky didn't want to play, but for the first time this season, we saw Kentucky basically get punched in the mouth, which I think Hayden Wallace maybe took a shot in the mouth and got already up. So maybe actually happened, but they responded though, right? And I feel like that's the first time this season in a big game like that when Kentucky is going against a team that has been the aggressor. Because in all honesty, in the games against the good teams, Kentucky has not been the aggressor. The other team has been the aggressor. But Tennessee was that, but yet Kentucky took the shot and then they got up, they responded. And I think you're going to see a lot of similarities perhaps in this game with A&M because A&M is the type of team that will come out, exactly how they're going to play. They're going to be very aggressive. Their offense is way better than people will get credit for. They're doing a lot of good things on the offensive end before, but they're also going to be physical and they're going to turn you over. And I think that's what we look at with this Kentucky team. And look, it's no secret what I think about the Kentucky offense situation. I think as long as Case and Wallace has the ball in his hands, Kentucky can do a lot of good things, and that's not a knock on Purdue either. So some people are making that the argument. It's that the way this team is structured, I think they need Case and Wallace to have the ball in his hands to get the most out of how they want to do things offensively. And I think Cal's starting to figure that out. And so that's why I think we're seeing them play a lot better. So a big game for Kentucky, a big game for A&M, because again, let's think about the consequences here. A&M wins this game, like they're 6-0 in the SEC. And, I mean, You're talking about a team that needs to build a resume. They don't have a resume still at this point. And all honesty, like, Missouri is probably their best win, and they don't have a ton more outside of that. So they really actually need to win the game, even if it's a 5-0 team. But for Kentucky, they're on the outside looking in right now, too. So, this is an important game for them as well. This is a very fun one, I think, guys.
Is Tennessee still the second-best team in the league?
I think so because, I think sometimes you just sort of understand that those kind of games are going to happen. And, again, it felt like desperation mode for Kentucky. And so I think you have to probably factor that in, too, where, Tennessee had a lot to prove, but let's be honest, Kentucky was probably in the most must-win situation we've seen Kentucky in a couple of seasons, and they just found a way to do it. So I don't necessarily think it's Tennessee. Now, look, here's what that game does, though. It puts in your mind the theme that we talked about for years. And it's the same theme of, oh, my goodness, is this Tennessee team going to hit a stretch where they get 5 or 6 minutes and they just cannot score? And I think that's going to continue to be there the rest of the way. Here's what I liked about it. They responded by getting a tough one at Mississippi State, and they did it without Vescovi, without Key, two of their better offensive players. They go in there and score 70 points. They're playing good defense, and that's why I think Tennessee is still right there. Because even when you take one game like that, a very disappointing game against Kentucky, but the overall picture tells us that, yes, this may still be another Rick Barnes team that has those stretches that you just hope don't happen at the wrong time in the NCAA tournament where they struggle to score. But at the same time, there's still the best defensive team out there, and I think that's going to give them enough leverage to kind of use that defense, turn people over, get some easy offense, to kind of avoid having so many of those offensive stretches. And again, if you can prove you can win without 2 of your top offensive players at a place like Mississippi State against a good defensive team, I think Tennessee is just fine.
Well, good stuff. Great stuff from Blake Lovell. We really appreciate the conversation and you joining us on this Saturday. You're live from University Kia, the special Saturday show. Let everybody know how to follow you, and we know you're going to be glued to the TV, and you and Chris Lee going to be bringing a lot of reaction from this big weekend of SEC basketball.
Yeah, I always appreciate it, guys. Like you said, it's southeastern14.com. That's the website. You can go to YouTube, search Southeastern14. That video is going up every day. As I said, lots of SEC basketball videos doing our SEC football state of the programs right now. So we've got Georgia, Bama, and Tennessee already up. So if you're in the off-season mood for football, which we know everyone is, you can find those there as well. Southeastern 14 on YouTube. And then, everything else, follow me on Twitter at @TheBlakeBubble.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Blake.
Thanks, guys.
Let's get a break in. We'll come back, wrap up hour one from University Kia along University Drive, #1 volume, largest volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
It looks like your luggage is over 50 pounds. Is there anything you can take out?
Oh, yeah. Let me just toss all these $20 bills.
Great. Let me grab you a trash can.
Stop. Instead of throwing money away, move some clothes into a carry-on. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary.
Looking for future leaders we can trust and believe in? Look no further than the high school student athletes right here in Alabama. High school sports teach young people how to be effective leaders. It begins by making their grades and being on time for practice. It includes learning to listen, following directions, accepting responsibility, being a good role model. And it's about respect for officials, opponents, the rules, and each other. The result? It transcends sports. It gives us hope for the future. High school sports. There's so much more than just a game. This message presented by the Alabama High School Athletic Association and the Alabama High School Athletic Directors and Coaches Association.
You spoke, we listen. You want more local? You got it. More local programming.
Coach Sylvester Kroom joins us right now. Coach, finally, I got to ask, what would be your evaluation of one West Neighbors at linebacker?
I was very fortunate to coach Derek Thomas and Cornelius Benton and Mike Pitts and all those guys when they coached linebacker. It would have tested my coaching, really given my coaching abilities a great test if I'd have had to coach West Neighbors long term at that.
More local games.
Play action, looks downfield, heaves it along the near sideline, has a man down there, and it's gone! Touchdown, Madison Academy!
More local coverage you can't get anywhere else.
Now, I'm sure your next question is how many reps is he getting and who's he splitting time with and who's he competing with and what team's he on and where's he at on the depth chart, none of which we have an answer for.
We are your home of ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly to mostly cloudy sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid-50s. An isolated shower certainly can't be ruled out across the Tennessee Valley, especially south of the river. But better opportunities for widespread rain are going to move in as we head into the overnight and then early into your Sunday morning. That's when the vast majority of the rain is going to fall. Scattered showers are going to be possible through Sunday afternoon. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hi, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Oh, hot-blooded there. Something that might get people's blood going again is that transfer portal.
Yep.
Adonai Mitchell is out.
Yeah, for Georgia, that's kind of surprising.
He is gone. He is headed to Steve Sarkisian and the Texas Longhorns.
So he's already announced his destination.
Yes, he's committed to Texas. 38 receptions, 560 yards, 7 touchdowns in 2 years at Georgia.
You don't even think anything tampering happened, did you?
I don't think anything is as fast as he went in and as fast as he went out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I will say this for Adonai Mitchell. I mean, he missed most of this year.
Right.
That's why his stats are so modest.
Right.
I think he got hurt in week 2, and he didn't make it back till the playoffs. And he caught touchdowns in every game he played this year, pretty much. And he had the game sealing comeback, in the national championship game that you and I froze our rear ends off before we got inside. He caught the 40-yard touchdown. He caught the 40-yard touchdown that gave him the lead that they never relinquished against Alabama. So it's interesting, though. I still say what it is, and it's twofold. One, Kirby's offense doesn't feature receivers as much because of the tight ends and the Brock Bowers of the world and the way they feature the running game. But two, remember, we already talked about this. They were aggressive in the transfer portal, got Ra Thomas from Mississippi State, and then the young man from Missouri as well. So Georgia has already added 2 receivers in the transfer portal. And A.D. Mitchell probably was thinking, well, I don't know if I'm going to be the one. And so he's decided to transfer to Texas.
All right, 256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. And you can join us on a Saturday with anything else that you need. Ole Miss lands another guy in the transfer portal. North Texas transfer DB Deshaun Gaddy, a 3-year starter for North Texas, is headed to play for Lane Kiffin and the Rebels. So the Portal King adds another one.
Yeah, and Dominic Lovett is, of course, the slot receiver I was talking about with Mizzou, and he led Mizzou in receiving. I mean, he had 846 yards, Scott.
Right.
He was actually better than Luther Burden, who came in with all the hype and the circumstance and the 5 stars and all that stuff. And Luther had a solid freshman year, but Lovett had an all-SEC type year, and now he's going to Georgia. But I think that had a lot to do with A.D. Mitchell, deciding to move on to Texas. And so we'll see. But you're right, the Portal King Lane Kiffin, look what he's already done with Spencer Sanders. We're going to talk to our good friend Jake Wimberly in the second hour about that. What does that mean to me? I'll say what it confirms. There's a false narrative out there that Lane Kiffin's some quarterback whisperer. He's not. He doesn't improve quarterbacks fundamentally. That's actually Steve Sarkisian. What Lane does is identify playmakers, design offenses to a quarterback's strengths. I mean, why do you think he's collecting quarterbacks? Because, I mean, he's not satisfied with Jackson Dart, who I thought was inconsistent. He got Walker Howard, who, is going to get the number 2 reps. I think they believe he's the quarterback of the future. He was behind a couple guys at LSU. And then but they're not bringing in Spencer Sanders, who was a 4-year starter, who is responsible for 85 touchdowns, to hold a clipboard. I just don't believe that. And that's why I think by the end of the spring practice, Jackson Dart will be at BYU or wherever the heck he ends up. He's going to be on the we're going to start calling this the JT Daniels, which means every year you're going to be at somewhere different because you're not staying to compete. But I will say this in his defense. I mean, sometimes I know people are getting irritated and say, well, these kids don't want to compete, they're just running. But in his defense, if I were his family, that would kind of piss me off. I've started most of the season.
Yeah.
It was a little bit up and down. It was my first year as a starter. And then you go out here and you go – now, Walker Howard, I'm not getting irritated. I mean, okay, he's going to come in to compete. We need more guys in the quarterback room. He's a young player. He could be the quarterback of the future. Spencer Sanders is 23 years old. He's not coming here to sit. You're bringing him in here to start.
Well, you look at his accomplishments at Oklahoma State and everything. Yeah. I mean, the expectations are that he is going to come in and take this Ole Miss offense to where it was a year ago. Not this past year, but a season ago.
Saying. Obviously, he's not satisfied with Jackson Dart.
Right.
And to me, that he's not coaching him up. He's like, well, he's not good enough. I'm going to get somebody else that's better. Okay? And that's not quarterback development. That's quarterback collecting. That's what Lane Kiffin's doing. So that's what I'm saying. This narrative that he's some quarterback genius, hadn't done this in a while.
No, you have not. The knuckles should be fresh.
Hello? That's not what he is. He's a play caller and a designer of offense.
Okay.
Why do you think Pete Carroll made Steve Sarkisian and Lane Kiffin co-offensive coordinators at USC? Because one complemented the other. One guy's a great play caller and designer of offense, and then, of course, they can collaborate. And I'm not saying, of course, I think Sark's a great play caller, but Sark is the guy that can tutor and improve the quarterback and improve him fundamentally. And then they can put their heads together. Sark is the quarterback guru. Why do you think Arch Manning is going to Texas?
That's an interesting thought there, and I have a question dealing with that. Dealing with the college quarterbacks and dealing with everything else. And I'm going to ask that to kick off hour number 2. Plus, that leads us into the NFL divisional round of the playoffs. We'll get you all set for the NFL today. Make sure you stay with us for hour 2 of Talking Ball live from University Kia coming up next.
.97.7 ESPN The Zone.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com. Rambo Marine in Hazel Green is your one-stop shop for all things boating. Whether you are ready to surf with the newest Malibu wake boat or cruise on a Cobalt or Barletta pontoon, we have a boat ready for you and your family. Rambo Marine provides exceptional service second to none, so that you are ready to hit the water in no time. Stop by Rambo Marine today. We know boats.
What does it mean to be a part of the Southeastern Conference? That you paint your body, your car, and your dog your school colors? Maybe. But it means more than that. It means your alumni network includes the state, the country, and beyond. It means your school ring doubles as your resume, and yeah, you better believe it means more titles, like doctor, CEO, and your honor. Because this is the SEC, and here, it just means more. What does it mean to be part of the Southeastern Conference? That yours is the only conference with its own chant? Well, yes, but it means more than that. It means a study abroad program that might include reforestation in a mangrove swamp in Australia. It means finding your calling, your future spouse, your startup's co-founders, and of course, grilling tongs that play your fight song. This is the SEC, and here, it just means more.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about...
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And just like that, we are back and we are ready to go. It's hour 2 of Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Welcome into hour number 2. We're live from University Kia on a Saturday morning. Yes, that's right. Your ears are hearing us correct. We are live on a Saturday. So you can join us from University Kia, 256-576-4977, the largest volume Kia dealer, the biggest volume Kia dealer, the number one Kia dealer. All of the superlatives that you want to say for University Kia, throw them in there, because that is exactly what they are. They've got great financing deals available, everything available for you on this Saturday. It's University Kia and Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. So to close hour number 1, we were talking about Lane Kiffin really bolstering his quarterback room. Mm-hmm. But I want to ask you this, Drew DeArmond. 2022 and 2021, Georgia wins national championships with an in-house quarterback, Stetson Bennett. 2020, Alabama wins one, obviously a recruited quarterback. 19, LSU wins one, and they got Joe Burrow out of Ohio State, but you could say LSU kind of developed him because he really didn't do anything at Ohio State, didn't have any kind of accolades coming in from Ohio State. 2018, we know Clemson wins it. That's an in-house quarterback. Alabama 17, Clemson 16, Alabama 15, Ohio State 14, Florida State 13. We have yet to see. Now, the transfer portal era is still young and still new. And we don't know what it can do. We don't know where it can be. But how sustainable is it going to be for a college program to put everything in there, win a national championship like a Lane Kiffin with a Spencer Sanders, like someone going out and getting a 3-4 year starter, plugging them in? Our expectations going to be like, okay, I want to win. We can win a national championship this way. Or is the old-fashioned way of developing, grooming, and recruiting a quarterback still the way to go?
No, you have to develop your players, man. I mean, you may get lucky every now and then and catch lightning in a bottle, and Ogeron is the test case for that, because there's no way he's a head football coach. We figured that out. But he also lucked into Joe Brady. And I think Joe Brady is a quarterback guy. So, because you even hear Matt Moscona tell you that repeatedly that Steve Ensminger was the play caller. Now, I think Joe Brady was heavily involved with that, and I think it was Joe Brady's offense. Let's put it that way.
Oh, it was, yes.
But I do, and I'll just tell you, everybody wants to know where Joe Brady is now. Joe Brady is with the Buffalo Bills, and I believe he's their quarterbacks coach, and there's a reason for that. Now, he did get fired in Carolina, but they didn't have a quarterback. That's the problem. And I'll just tell you, in the NFL, that's why the great Jerry Glanville, who joins the drive weekly, always tells you not for long. The NFL is not a developmental league. They draft you, and there's a little bit of development that goes on, but not a lot. They drafting you to play now, bro. You ain't got a lot of time. I mean, because you think about it. Think about all the things that have been said by Tua Tagovailoa, who was coming off of a car accident-like hip injury and people were so critical of him when he played as a rookie. And then as a second-year player. This year he took some steps forward. It looks like the Dolphins are going into next year with him as the quarterback. But they don't Mac Jones, he was Rookie of the Year, right? And so this next year, when he's got Mo, Larry, and Curly calling plays, then all of a sudden they're criticizing him.
Right.
They don't give you long to develop in the National Football League.
Right.
So the developmental part usually is in
the college level.
game. And so I just think that's why Sark is so good. That's why he was heavily involved as an analyst and then as an offensive coordinator at Alabama for a while. And then Brian Dable. There's another one. To me, that's a quarterback guy.
Right,
I know
right.
at times he wasn't a quarterback coach in the National Football League, but look at what he's done with Daniel Jones. And because Daniel Jones was going nowhere until he got there. And I think, he put it.
Brian Dable gets a lot of credit for Josh Allen for helping turn Josh Allen
110%. So that's where you see it. He designs offenses, but the quarterback gets better.
Right.
And in some ways, nothing against Ken Dorsey, who took over for Dable. I'm not quite sure that he's been as good this year without Dable.
There's people that will say that.
Yeah,
so,
and Daniel Jones has had a breakout year.
So then my question even further is, Steve Sarkisian has gone the route of recruiting Arch Manning, Quinn Ewers, and I know he got Quinn Ewers from Ohio State, but Quinn Ewers did nothing for 1 year at Ohio State. Basically went there to avoid. Yeah. So he has Quinn Ewers. And he has Arch Manning. So, and who can develop and who can get a team to the playoff faster? Do you think Steve Sarkisian? I know Lane Kiffin has posted a 10-win season and then an 8 this past year and has Ole Miss trending. But program-wise, will Steve Sarkisian pass Lane Kiffin and give that Texas program more upside than what Lane Kiffin is doing by just going out and trying to live in the transfer portal?
Well, hell, he better. And I'm just talking about Sark. You better start winning. You better start winning 10 or more. They're going to fire you because that's just the way it is at Texas because they're buffoons. So, they can't get out of their own way half the time. If you went by how much money somebody has,
right,
in resources, we're talking about Texas and Texas ATM. They should win championships every year, but you know why they don't? Because of buffoonery. Because they can't. There's too many people tugging and wanting a piece of the puzzle, and then they don't know how to vet people because that's why you give Dirtneck $96 million. Okay. So and then again, and with Sark, as good as he is as a quarterback developer, as good as he is as a play caller, as good as he is as an offensive mind, what is his head coaching record? Just go back and look at it.
Right.
Now he took over a dumpster fire at Washington. They were coming off 0-12, and he got them back to 8-4 or
relevant. He got them back to relevancy, yes.
but not championship level.
Right.
And then at USC, he fell off the wagon. He had some personal issues, but they weren't. But they weren't doing great.
Right.
Okay, they weren't winning the Pac-12. I think the jury is still out on how good a head coach Sark is. Now he nearly beat Alabama last year. He'll bring Texas to Bryant-Denny Stadium this year. So we'll see how good they are. And certainly Texas is they're tough to defend, and Sark's a heck of an offensive mind. But defensively, they've still had issues. So we'll see. But I just think that the jury's still out on both of them. Lane Kiffin, was 7-6 in 1 year at Texas. Got fired on the tarmac at Southern Cal. Now he took over a difficult situation they had with some probation and things of that nature. It wasn't easy, and he had a winning record, but it was still they weren't a championship contender.
Right.
He's the only place he's won championships was at FAU. He was able to win Group of 5 conference titles. Now at Ole Miss, they've shown improvement. There's no question about that.
No, they have.
But and our good friend Brett Norsworthy was on the drive this week, and he made a point when this college football playoff, expands after the next season in 2024. If Ole Miss were just like last year in year 2 for Lane, they went 10-2. Remember, they go to this Sugar Bowl. That would get them in the playoffs. In a 12-team playoff, and then you'd have a chance to do some damage. So that's what where Lane and Sark are going to be. Actually, it's going to up the pressure on both of them because, especially at Texas, if Texas ain't in a 12-team playoff, they got problems. But here's where it's twofold. Texas is also coming to the SEC, and that ain't the Big 12.
No, it is not.
And they're going to learn that real fast.
No,
so
it is not.
You better have some dudes. You better have some coaches. You better have some players, or you're going to get your ass whooped.
Yes, they will.
That's all there is to it.
And that is the one thing that we are awaiting from the SEC. When I say awaiting, we're not awaiting like in the next hour. It's not like we're going to see this and that. We're awaiting how the SEC is going to schedule set games with Oklahoma and Texas coming in there. Yeah, how is that all going to look? That is the one thing that SEC fans, I think, are awaiting and kind of curious to see, because that's going to be like a holiday for a lot of SEC fans, because we get to see exactly where Auburn and Alabama sit in this. Where does Georgia and Auburn, where does Alabama and LSU find a home in this? I mean, when I say I mean versus each other. Where does everybody find a home? And that we have to find out. We got to wait and see. So anyway, I mean, it's just something that I'm pondering, because I'm seeing a lot of these teams try to do this to the transfer portal. I mean, they're trying to fill gaps. Alabama is a school that is being very selective because of the good recruiting that they have done.
Yeah.
They don't have a ton of holes. They're one of the schools that are going on this one would be really good to complement what we have. Now, this past year, even if you complimentary go through the transfer portal, you still get snake bit, because Tyler Harrell
couldn't play dead in a B Western. Let's just say it. Just say it. He couldn't play dead in a B Western.
And you look at numbers when they come in, lots of times you're like, this guy here is going to – but you have just as many chances going through risks going through the transfer portal as you do recruiting somebody out of high school.
Exactly.
Because you don't know what they're going to be like once they get on your campus. So
the biggest thing is, honestly, and you look at Tyler Harrell, had size, had the speed.
Yes.
It's the neck up. How are they going to react to being in a Shark Tank? How are they going to compete? He comes from Louisville, which is a good program, but it's not an SEC level program. How are they going to fit? Landon Dickerson, he had been hurt some, but he came from Florida State, and he fit right in. And
he had a little bit of adjustment period, though, didn't he, because of the injuries?
A little, not really injuries. He had a little bit of an adjustment his first year.
Yeah.
But he certainly was a hell of a player, and
yes,
and really it was positionally. Is he a center? Is he a guard? He was really both. But he had to make. And see, he's never played center, and so they had to transition him from center during his junior year, and then he took over fully, as a senior. And so
one of the most beloved offensive linemen, you think, in the past 10 years.
I'll just say
Alabama?
this, and this is saying a lot considering that J-Mo became the top wide receiver drafted last year.
Yeah.
The best portal transfer Alabama's ever had was Landon Dickerson. As far as his impact.
I would easily say that.
Because I think he was the missing piece to the offensive line. He played with a nasty streak. He was a great leader. There's a lot of great camaraderie. He's a great player for the Eagles.
What about Jake Coker? Where would you put him?
That was pre-transfer portal, but Jake Coker's better than people give him credit
You're
for.
right. Pre-transfer portal.
But I'm just saying he was a graduate transfer.
Okay,
but
right.
Jake was better than people give him credit for. He gets – a lot of people have him ranked down at the bottom of Saban's quarterbacks, and he actually played probably the best football of his career in the playoff the 1 year he started. Because for Jake, all the money was in the middle of the table. This was it. This was his last year. He was a senior. And on top of it, I think I've told you this story, Scott, he got hurt in camp and had to have screws put in his ankle and shoot his ankle up every week to play. Nobody knew this till afterward. I found this out when he came to sign autographs over in Huntsville. He goes, "Yeah, I just got the plate removed." I was like, "Whoa, Jake! What you're telling me that you just got the screws out and the plate you had it in there the whole time?" He goes, "Oh yeah, we shot it up the whole season." He played with that the whole year. I mean, Jake Coker is better than you give him credit for. See, people, I got ripped on the Feinbaum show. I got ripped apart in Atlanta because I said Jalen Hurts was at the bottom of the barrel for Alabama quarterbacks.
That's because the Czar tried to make sure that you got ripped on that.
Yeah, the Czar tried to rip me, but guess what? Look at the results. It's Jake Coker or Greg McElroy. It's Jalen Hurts or Greg McElroy. Jake Coker was better than both of them at Alabama. Okay, I don't give a rat's ass what anybody tries to tell me. I'm going by the stats and the winning. That's my question. Greg McElroy did quarterback a national championship team at Alabama, But if you watch both of them play in the playoffs, Greg had his best game against Florida, okay? But I'm talking about the way Jake Coker beat one of the great college quarterbacks of the last decade in Deshaun Watson. And he had to. He outdueled him. He threw for over 300 yards in the national championship game to beat him. You know, and Tim Tebow was transcendent. But I'll just tell you, because of what he did against Florida in the SEC championship game, what he did against Michigan State, what he did in the national championship game, for the one season, Jake Coker was better than Greg McElroy. I don't care if Greg McElroy played in the NFL. That's irrelevant. And I'm not talking about for what Jalen Hurts has developed into now, which is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm talking about for Jalen Hurts' time at Alabama.
Right.
He did not quarterback a national championship team. He was not the starter. Jake Coker was. That's why I ranked Jake Coker ahead of Jalen Hurts, and I had basically it was either G-Mac or Jalen Hurts at the bottom of Nick Saban's starting quarterback pile at Alabama. Okay? That's what I had, and I'm never going to change it. That's just the bottom line. I would probably have Jalen and then Greg McElroy, because Jalen did such a great job running the ball. But in a way though, I'll stick to my guns. I'll put Greg McElroy and then Jalen Hurts, because Jalen Hurts never won a national championship as a starter. Greg McElroy did.
I put it out on Twitter as a Twitter question for our listeners. So I want you, who would you rather have as your college quarterback, Jake Coker or Greg McElroy?
Well, I'm going to go with Jake Coker.
That's what I'm asking. Yeah, I'm asking the listeners that now, too. So head to our Twitter page at 977ESPN, and you can call in 256-576-4977. You're the coach. You're in the quarterback room. You got Greg McElroy or Jake Coker.
When I did these rankings, remember when and then Feinbaum came and was on our show, and Feinbaum ripped me. But Feinbaum didn't know Drew DeArmond from Drew Anderson. He didn't know who the hell I was. He still doesn't. But I'm just saying, it was just one of those things where you have fun. It's the part of the radio business. It is. And, somebody called into the Feinbaum show and said, it's Dirty Arm, and what the hell is he saying? And all. He didn't know who I was. And so, but see, I have to revise it because Bryce Young had not been at Alabama when we talked about all this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying, as far as starting quarterbacks at Alabama. And really, Mac Jones had not done what he was doing. We were in the middle of about to see what Tua Tagovailoa was doing. And so, but to me, if you had to ask me, hey, Drew DeArmond, how do you rank the starting quarterbacks of the Nick Saban era?
Rank them here in a minute. Okay. Rank them here in a minute, because we got to get to a break. It's 16 after. Let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll continue the show from University Kia along University Drive here in Huntsville.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You date like you aren't 22 anymore. Like, emotionally mature is kind of hot to you now. And 6 texts sent back-to-back is totally cool. You date like your experiences, relationships, they haven't just made you, they've made you interesting. Young love was great. But dating as a fully formed, emotionally mature human? Man, that's on a whole other level. Download the Match app today.
Hi, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to kickstart the new year with 0% interest. We've got financing as low as 0% APR for 36 months on 2022 and 2023 models of F-150, Explorer, Edge, and Escape. Plus, there's an extra $1,000 bonus cash on F-150 XLT. Come on in to Woody Anderson Ford today and choose from over 100 F-150s and nearly 50 Explorers. I bet you can find exactly what you're looking for. And we've also got longer-term financing as low as 4.9% for up to 72 months. It's available on 2022 F-150, Explorer, Edge, Escape, and Mustang. With your good credit, these offers are through Ford Motor Credit. Offers end January 31st. At Woody Anderson Ford, we'd be glad to walk you through the online ordering, too. Plus, you'll get $1,000 bonus cash. Come see us and let's get 2023 off to a great start. Woody Anderson Ford, Jordan at Sparkman. Hope to see you soon.
We love our pets, and when we need boarding or vet services, we want the best. That's why we chose Paradise Pet Resort and Spa. Everything our pets needed, all in one place. Boarding for both dogs and cats. doggy daycare, grooming and spa services, web cameras, and top-notch vet care, too. It's a true Paradise Pet Resort for your furry friends, serving all of North Alabama. Find out everything you need to know and book services online at ParadisePetResortAndSpa.com. Located in Madison, just off 565 at Walt Triana, behind Cracker Barrel.
It's the event beer lovers wait for all year. The 7th Annual Von Brewski Beer Festival, presented by Publix. Enjoy over 120 brews from over 50 breweries, plus live music, hot pretzels, brats, and more. Saturday, January 28th in the VBC South Hall. Tickets available at vonbrauncenter.com or at the VBC box office. Admission is $50 in advance or $60 at the door. Non-beer sampling tickets are just $15 and the cash bar will be open. Must be 21 or older for entry.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly to mostly cloudy sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid-50s. An isolated shower certainly can't be ruled out across the Tennessee Valley, especially south of the river. But better opportunities for widespread rain are going to move in as we head into the overnight and then early into your Sunday morning. That's when the vast majority of the rain is going to fall. Scattered showers are going to be possible through Sunday afternoon. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Everything you need is just a click away.
I screw up sometimes, silly.
Okay, almost everything.
Come on, pal. Tell your fortune.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. 977 ESPN, The Zone.
Hi, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond, live from University Kia. How about this? From 2012 to 2021, we're going to say 22 as well, they're the number one Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. It's not by accident. It's because they've earned it. They've got great quality sales professionals, great financiers. They've got everything available here for you at University Kia. So come on out here, University Kia. That's right. We are live on a Saturday morning. Don't forget, coming up today at 2 o'clock on 97.7 ESPN The Zone, UAH basketball, women's basketball, as they're going to take on West Alabama. And then at 4 o'clock on 97.7 ESPN The Zone 2, the men are going to take on West Alabama. So Steve Moulton and myself will have all that for you, all of the action there inside Spraggins Hall. It's free, so come on out there. Enjoy a little college basketball. So on our 97.7 Twitter page, at 977 ESPN, we do have a poll up there right now, and it spurred into a conversation, and that is, who would you rather have as your college quarterback? Not based on pro potential.
No, this
not
is totally based on Alabama production.
Just based on college production.
Right.
Jake Coker or Greg McElroy, and right now 85% of the votes are going in Jake Coker's way.
Yeah, I think Jake Coker is totally underrated. Now, I've probably revised them just slightly since that afternoon many years ago when I was on the Czar
show. You have ranked the Alabama quarterbacks.
Thank you for the pin, by the way, so I could write them down.
Don't thank me. Thank our illustrious patriarch leader.
Oh yeah, Neighbors Wealth Management.
There we go.
One of our great sponsors.
Yep.
But I had to go back and see. Now I can revise it because Bryce Young had not been a part of this equation.
Okay, so this is including up to Bryce Young. So this is current.
This is everybody.
This is current. Okay.
Nick Saban now, as we know, has completed 16 years of coaching.
Got it.
So when you think about that, so he's had 9 starting quarterbacks, Scott. 9. This will be number 10.
Wow.
Because you think about it, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So 22 through the 22 season, he's had 9 starting quarterbacks.
Okay.
This will be his 10th different one, whether it's Jalen Milroe or Ty Simpson. Personally, I'm putting my money on Ty Simpson. But again, he's going to have his 10th starting quarterback. Now, he's only had one quarterback 3 seasons. That was A.J. McCarron from 11, 12, and 13. A.J. won back-to-back national championships and nearly won a third, but they lost the kick 6 game, as you know, where I didn't move off my couch for 4 hours, and they ended up losing the Sugar Bowl to Oklahoma. So he didn't get a chance to win 3 in a row. He was the only one to be a 3-year starter. But in his defense, I mean, the reason he didn't leave, I think, after his junior year is because he knew he was going to be a mid-round pick, and he wasn't going to be if he was going to be a first or a second rounder, he would have left, in my opinion. But he ended up trying to create value for himself, and he's still playing. He was a long-time backup in the NFL. I think he's going to be in the XFL. We'll have to ask the Czar. That's his subject. But I think he's
he's all into that.
I don't know who's playing. I don't know what their names are, and I don't even know. But here's my rankings here. Bryce Young, number 1. After seeing them play for their entire careers now, right?
Right.
Tua Tagovailoa, number 2.
So who's number 1 again?
Bryce Young.
Bryce Young. Okay, Bryce Young.
Tua Tagovailoa, number 2.
Okay.
Mac Jones, number 3. A.J. McCarron, number 4.
Wow.
Jake Coker, number 5. John Parker Wilson, number 6. Blake Sims, number 7. Greg McElroy, number 8. And Jalen Hurts, number 9. That's how I rank the starters at Alabama.
Why Jalen 9?
Because he couldn't throw the football very well.
At the time.
Yeah, at the time. Now, it has nothing to do with what he did at Oklahoma. Has nothing to do with him being nearly the MVP of the NFL because he's improved leaps and bounds. I'm talking about simply the production at Alabama and how he did. Now, I know what his record was, 26-2 or whatever. I'm just talking about being able to throw the football and get it to the wide receivers. And I would have ranked him ahead of Greg McElroy, except Greg won a national championship. He actually, as a starting quarterback. Now, remember Jalen? He came off the bench, saved Tua, and won the SEC title, and was able to do that in 2018. But that team didn't win a national championship, though. And then Jalen was the backup that year. He did not start a game. But again, I'm just going by production. The rest of these dudes never lost their jobs. I'm talking about all these quarterbacks. Because you forget, Blake Sims set a total offense record his 1 year at Alabama and was SEC Offensive Player of the Year. Jalen was Offensive Player of the Year as a freshman. Okay, he had a great year. Alabama got to the national championship game, but remember, they lost, even though he rallied them and put them in position. But I'm just saying.
So as a starter, he is one of, 2 to not win a starting quarterback as a national, because John Parker Wilson did not win one as a starter. Bryce Young. So there's 3 of the 9.
John Parker never played in a national championship game.
Right. 3 of the 9 did not win a national title under Nick Saban. So 6 of the 9 quarterbacks as a starter, because Jalen was on the team as.
Yeah, I mean, I nearly put Blake Sims ahead of John Parker Wilson because Blake Sims' mobility. He rushed for 400 yards that year. But John Parker Wilson was really, really good as a senior. You know what I'm saying? And when Alabama lost that heartbreaker to Florida in the SEC championship game, and when he beat Georgia in the blackout game, John Parker Wilson had a really good senior year. He was very, very good.
Right.
So that was a tough vote. I almost put Blake Sims right there, but I would still put Jake Coker above both of them because he won a national championship, and I still don't think he gets enough credit for playing his best football down the stretch. In the Iron Bowl, he played great, made some plays when they were on the road in a tough environment. He played great against Florida. Personally, you remember Derrick Henry won the Heisman in 2015, right?
Right.
I still think Jake Coker should have been MVP of the SEC championship game.
He had a little bit of a moxie to him, too.
Yeah, he had the toughness.
Just that.
Yeah, and remember, he quarterbacked that win in the rain against Georgia in 2015 as well. I mean, Derrick Henry was the heartbeat of that team. We all know that. They wouldn't have won it without him. He broke every individual season record in the rushing in SEC. But the thing is, Jake Coker down the stretch as a quarterback perfectly complimented Derrick Henry, and I would put him, number 5 in my rankings of Alabama quarterbacks under Nick Saban.
All right, so there you go. That's a little bit of quarterback talk there. Again, if you head to our Twitter page at 977ESPN, you can vote on our Twitter poll question. Who would you rather have as a collegiate quarterback, not based on pro potential, not based on anything else, just simple college production, Greg McElroy or Jake Coker? You can go vote on that. Let's get a break in, because when we come back, Jake Wimberly will join us. Lane Kiffin at it again through the portal. What does it all mean for Lane Kiffin? What does it mean for the Rebels? We'll talk a little basketball there as well, because both of them have challenges today. Jake Wimberly on the flip side.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
All across the nation, we are here for our communities.
We're doing our part to get supplies where it's needed in order to fight COVID-19 together.
Got to do what we got to do, helping the people that did lose their jobs and lost their income, and now they don't have money for their food.
It feels good to be out there to assist our community with what we're dealing with. It's what you sign up for as a soldier.
We will not rest until the mission is complete.
Each one of these soldiers, once they received the call, they understood that all hands were on deck. This goes to the core of what citizen soldiers do.
We are your Army National Guard.
I would like our friends and family to know that your National Guardsmen are always ready and always there.
Always ready, always there. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more. Sponsored by the Alabama Army National Guard. Aired by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is an Alabama legacy moment.
Born Henry Louis Aaron on February 5, 1934 in Mobile, baseball icon Hank Aaron first honed his baseball skills while growing up in Alabama. He is best known for breaking Babe Ruth's record of 714 home runs, ultimately hitting 755, a record that stood from 1974 to 2007. During his career, Aaron was a member of the Milwaukee and then Atlanta Braves for 21 seasons and made the National League All-Star team every year from 1955 to 1974. He won 3 Gold Glove Awards for outfield, and his lifetime records for most runs batted in and most extra base hits still stand. Aaron was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1982 with 97.8% of the votes cast. In 2002, he received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor.
Sponsored by the Alabama Bicentennial Commission, the ABA, and this station.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I was sensitive to lights and sounds, so I built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. Sometimes I do the same things over and over, until one day I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly to mostly cloudy sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid-50s. An isolated shower certainly can't be ruled out across the Tennessee Valley, especially south of the river. But better opportunities for widespread rain are going to move in as we head into the overnight and then early into your Sunday morning. That's when the vast majority of the rain is going to fall. Scattered showers are going to be possible through Sunday afternoon. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Listen weekday afternoons starting at 5 on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
It's perfect!
All right, welcome back. It is. There we go. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond hanging out, University Kia. And we do have SEC basketball tipping off. It is already underway. With 7:10 left to go in the first, Ole Miss and Arkansas deadlocked at 21 right now. So a game that Arkansas needs and a game
taking
that Ole
on
Miss
that water,
wants.
getting them buckets.
Sorry, Eric Musselman's on the boat.
Eric
right now.
Walmart, he's on the boat,
calling all available hands to come in and bail water because that's how much
they got a lot of them at Walmart. Trust me, he's had a lot of buckets.
And hogs don't like water. Well,
no,
they do. They like to
well.
wallow in it if it turns to mud. But anyway, that's your basketball right now, tied at 21. Lane Kiffin, we were talking about it in hour number 2. The Portal King strikes and strikes again. But the Sanders quarterback out of Oklahoma State, probably the biggest get for Lane Kiffin to date.
It is, and we're going to talk to our next guest. He's the program director for ESPN 105.9 in Jackson, Mississippi, also 106.3. He hosts the afternoon drive from 3 to 6. He does an outstanding job. He's a College Football Hall of Fame voter. He's a Maxwell voter for the Player of the Year trophy, that and Bolitnikoff for the top receiver in college football, which, as we know, was Jalen Hyatt this year from Tennessee. And, of course, we're talking about our good friend Jake Wimberly. And Jake is with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Jake, good morning.
Guys, happy Saturday. How's it going?
Good. Thank you for joining us for a few minutes. We were having a spirited discussion in our previous segment about Alabama quarterbacks. Now we're going to turn it to probably the most interesting quarterback room in the country, and that's Ole Miss. Educate us. what is going on with Lane Kiffin and Jackson Dart and the Rebels right now?
Well, I appreciate you having me on a Saturday. And, guys, look, we talked about this a lot, but the latter part of this week, Thursday, Friday, and, everybody's asking the same question. And, just talking to some people up there, I think it comes down to a couple of things. One, it's a depth issue. When you look at Luke Altmaier, hits the transfer portal. He is going to be now projected as the starter in spring practice at the University of Illinois for Brett Bielema. So that left Lane Kiffin with Jackson Dart, Kincaid Dent, a guy that, look, I'm sure a great guy, but, not a guy that's going to win you an SEC ball game or two. And then you talk about an incoming freshman off this class. So the depth is absolutely an issue. So Lane Kiffin says, hey, we got to go get some competition. We've got to go find some depth. And then also there is the Jackson Dart side of this thing is, Dart played well at times this past year. He played not so well at times. The bowl game, and, a lot of people talk about, the coaches kind of put him in a bad situation there. There was some offensive line problems. But I think it's more of a depth issue, and then I think also it's to create a competition that is not currently on that roster right now, to, kind of head off complacency. And then look, as Lane Kiffin has probably told these guys coming in, the young man from LSU, you come in, buy your time for a year. It's likely yours. Spencer Sanders probably had the go-ahead look, hey, you can come win this job, and it's yours. So it creates now a lot of competition in Oxford, and we're actually going to see how good a quarterback Jackson Dart is and if he can fend off these two guys.
Yeah, that I think that's what the thing is when everybody read this earlier in the week and they get Walker Howard at first, it's like, okay, Ole Miss needs a little bit of depth. Here's a guy that could sit behind Jackson Dart, maybe push him just a little bit in spring and get used to this offense. And then Lane Kiffin's got him a quarterback for the future. And then you go out and get a guy that's proven at Oklahoma State. He doesn't come in to be the backup. He's not coming in to ride the bench. You imagine. Is this a case where Jackson Dart now evaluates where he wants to be and possibly he goes into the portal after spring?
I think it's a strong possibility. You look at a guy like Spencer Sanders. I believe he'll graduate this spring. So let's play this out for a minute and kind of war game it. If Spencer Sanders doesn't win the job after spring, then you would think Lane Kiffin will probably announce a starter, at least who's going into the summer as a starter. He's not going to pull a Jimbo Fisher or another coach where you kind of hold your cards to keep him on campus until late August. If Spencer Sanders doesn't win, he can still hit the portal and get out and go somewhere else. If Spencer Sanders is the guy, then Jackson Dart's got some decisions to make. So I think, Ole Miss spring practice is going to be as interesting as it's likely ever been, especially from the quarterback position.
Yeah, it really is. And you would think with Spencer Sanders being 23 years old, a 4-year starter at Oklahoma State, responsible for 85 touchdowns, the way Lane is thinking, I think he took a look at Dart and his progress this year. I don't think he was satisfied with it. Certainly, Howard, I think, has been sold on the idea that he's the quarterback of the future, which you just mentioned, Jake. And he wasn't even guaranteed to be the second-team guy at LSU. That's why he left. But again, to me, it smells like he's bringing Sanders in to start, and I wouldn't be surprised after spring practice if Jackson Dart has moved on.
No, I wouldn't either, Drew. You talk about Spencer Sanders, as you mentioned. This is the guy that has lit up the Big 12, over the last several years. You're talking about a guy that's got 3 and or 4 years worth of experience at a high level. And Lane Kiffin, I think you're right, was not happy with some of the moments with Jackson Dart. They didn't have the explosive plays that he had prior to Jackson Dart with Matt Corral and some others. So you guys know Lane Kiffin as good as anybody else with his time at Alabama. He wants a quarterback that can put it down the field, that can complete those passes deep, those hard passes down the field, and he wants somebody that's mobile. Dart's mobile, but Sanders is as well. If you look at the two, at least on the stat line, their stats are comparable. But Spencer Sanders, he pops off the chart because of the experience and the longevity in college football.
Should Ole Miss fans be worried at all that Kiffin is living through the portal to find his quarterbacks and not trying to recruit some to bring them in and have them developed?
There is some of that. I think there's a little bit of that, and none of us know how this whole portal thing is going to look 5 years from now. I think ideally, and I think any coach would like this, if Luke Altmaier would have worked out and been the guy, coming out of Mississippi high school football, he played his high school football at Starkville High School, not too far from Ole Miss, about 90 minutes, then that would have been great. but he just hasn't found that guy that can give him 2-3 years, in the high school level. And you guys know this, the money these coaches are making now, you got to win now. And with Lane Kiffin with the new contract, if he was to have a hiccup moment and then, get buried in the SEC West, then, the love affair would be off pretty quickly. So I think going out now, the sense of urgency, that microwave society that we live in, I think he knows, hey, I've got to have a quarterback that can play right now. And if Howard can come in and he can be the guy after this year, if this is somewhat of a kind of a makeshift season where either Dart makes it or Sanders makes it, then Howard likely will give us the next 2 to 3.
Well, and Jake, now to kind of shift gears, and we'll talk a little bit of Mississippi State as well. But before that, I know you cover the entire state. You do a great job. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you. We know Will Hall is starting to turn around that program at Southern Mississippi, which really has a great football history. They've become much more competitive, and a part of that was Austin Armstrong the last 2 years as defensive coordinator. What has been the conversation or the thought in the state of Mississippi of him, Pete Golding, coming over to Ole Miss from Alabama, and now Armstrong joining the staff of the Crimson Tide? I guess first there'll be a two-part question. Your thought on Pete Golding coming to Ole Miss? It seems to be an improvement there, a step up, and then the Austin Armstrong and what he could do at Alabama, and what is his reputation.
Sure. Yeah. First with Pete Golding, I think most of the feedback we've gotten has been primarily positive. There's been some concern about some of the big plays Alabama gave up, but I mean that's college football. So I think it is an upgrade with Golding coming in. He's a guy that a lot of people forget played his college football inside the state of Mississippi at Delta State.
Yep.
So I mean, right. He's a guy that knows the state. He can recruit. So I think that's an upgrade. This defense did not look that good, on the back half of the season this past year. So I think that's definitely an upgrade for Ole Miss, and we'll see how that pans out. As far as what Alabama's getting off Will Hall's staff, I think they're getting a heck of a football coach. Will Hall has done a fantastic job at Southern Miss in a short amount of time. I had an opportunity to go down and watch Southern Miss and Tulane down in New Orleans this year, and Southern Miss was one of only 2 teams that really slowed Tulane down. And you're talking about teams like USC that couldn't do it, and some others. And Southern Miss looked really, really good doing that and getting a win down there in New Orleans. So Will Hall has put together a really good staff. He's used the transfer portal at times and in ways. He's going to be bringing in a quarterback from Clemson that they're expected to vie for that starting spot this year. So I think Alabama's getting a young, great football coach there coming out of Southern Miss, and Will Hall continues to. Now he's kind of locking down some of these recruits that were getting out of here that maybe wouldn't go to State and Ole Miss, but they were going to Troy or they were going to Louisiana Tech or Lafayette. He's keeping some of those guys in now. His staff is doing a really good job. They set the tone defensively. They do a great job, and then now they're just looking for that next piece offensively.
Very interesting. And then, of course, Zach Arnett has now completed his staff at Mississippi State, and I did notice that he brought in Will Friend as his offensive line coach that for a very, very brief time had left. We know he had gone to Memphis, and I thought that was an interesting move because he was let go at Auburn, but he had landed at Memphis for a short period, and now he's joined Zach Arnett's staff. But your preliminary thoughts on the staff and maybe the offensive style we're going to see out of Zach Arnett?
Yeah, I think, look, for everything that Mississippi State has had to deal with the passing of Mike Leach, not having an athletics director up until about 10 days ago, the transfer portal open, the early signing period, I think they've done a really, really good job of keeping things together. Mississippi State with one of the lower attrition rates inside the Southeastern Conference on the first, portal window. I think they have somewhere around 13 guys that left the program, and I may be off a little bit on that. But, the staff, Zach Arnett, you knew early that he was wanting to kind of maybe not get totally away from the air raid. And let's be honest, nobody's going to run the air raid like Mike Leach ran it. Everybody runs a variation of it, but the whole Kendall Briles flirtation was a real thing. That obviously did not pan out, so you knew immediately he wanted to kind of get away from that. Bringing in an offensive coordinator from App State, they're going to have to tweak some things to, kind of run that type of offense. I mean, it's still a wide-open offense, but it's a little more run-heavy, and I think any style that Mississippi State chose was going to be more run-heavy than what they were doing. But you talked about Will Friend coming in. That's a plus. He knows the state of Mississippi. David Turner comes back on that defensive side. He spent a couple stints in Starkville. He knows a lot about Mississippi State and what they want to do. He was there and responsible for guys like Fletcher Cox and Chris Jones and some others that kind of came through that program that's now in the National Football League. And then You talk about a guy like Brad Peterson, who had spent some time with Dan Mullen there out of Mississippi high school football ranks, a highly successful coach. He's back in an administrative position, a high-level position as well. So I think Zach Arnett has done all of the right things, and now it's just time to go play football and this fall and see how it all pans out for him.
Yeah, his staff is coming along nicely. I mean, you look at that staff, and I mean he's putting together a fantastic staff there in Starkville.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. And so we'll see. And Zach Arnett's kind of teed up with a pretty good position for this year. A quarterback coming back at Will Rogers that's got 3 years of experience. He's got some receivers that have some experience. He's got a defense that brings back a lot, and they play 8 home games for the first time in the history of the program. So Zach Arnett's kind of been teed up and done well himself, and at least putting this program in position to have a nice year this year.
And before you go, your thoughts. You just mentioned the new AD just hired, just a few short days ago, about a week ago, Zach Selman, of course, the son and nephew of the Selman family, the Selman brothers that were so iconic at Oklahoma and in the NFL. But your thoughts on Zach Selman as the new athletic director at Mississippi State?
Have not had a chance to meet him yet personally, but from everybody I've talked to in Starkville and hearing him in a couple of interviews, and then looking kind of back at his history, you would think this is going to be a really good hire for Mississippi State. I mean, coming from Joe Stiglione from Oklahoma, working under Bob Stoops, and being at a high level there inside that Oklahoma program that has been a pretty darn good athletic department, not only in football but basketball's had some moments. Baseball, they played for a national championship this past year. Girls softball, so it's a really good program he's coming out of, and I think he's a guy that understands the academic side first. Listen to Dr. Keenum, the president of Mississippi State, talk about him, and then of course got to give credit to John Cohen. I've been saying this, John. For all of the back and forth Mississippi State fans had about him leaving and going to Auburn, John kind of teed up the next guy. He got there's not really a big coaching search that he's got to go through. He didn't have to do the Zach Arnett thing. That way, if Arnett for some reason doesn't work out, he can take care of that and do get his guy. But there's not a baseball coach or a basketball coach or a coaching hire. The facilities, I know they're planning on doing some new stuff. Like everybody else is the long range forecasting, facilities upgrades. So the program's in a good shape, and I think John left it on a good standing for someone to get out and do some fundraising and hit the ground running.
Well, great
stuff.
stuff.
A great situation to walk into.
Yeah, no question. And great intel from Jake Wimberly. Jake, we always appreciate it and let everybody know how to connect with you, and we always enjoy the conversation. And thank you for joining us on this Saturday.
Absolutely, guys. My pleasure. And anytime, just hit me up on Twitter at Jake Wim. That's at Jake WIM. And then, of course, you can always stream our programming on thezone1059.com if you're coming through the great state of Mississippi or you just want to turn over for a minute.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Jake.
Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.
All right, Jake Wimberly there helping us get to our final break, your tomorrow's headlines. When we return, we'll get you updated on some college basketball scores and start looking ahead to your divisional football games. Coming up next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
It's the event beer lovers wait for all year. The 7th Annual Von Brewski Beer Festival, presented by Publix. Enjoy over 120 brews from over 50 breweries, plus live music, hot pretzels, brats, and more. Saturday, January 28th in the VBC South Hall. Tickets available at vonbrauncenter.com or at the VBC box office. Admission is $50 in advance or $60 at the door. Non-beer sampling tickets are just $15 and a cash bar will be open. Must be 21 or older for entry.
Have you ever turned your back on God? Have you ever absolutely known the right thing to do and just turned around and walked away in disobedience? I know that I have. Aren't we thankful for our great and merciful God who loves us and forgives us and remembers our sin no more? I'm so thankful that His mercies are fresh every day. I need that, and I suspect you do too. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, and if you're looking for a church home, come see us. We're smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison, and check us out at cpcfamily.org.
I loved playing high school sports. I loved the competition, the camaraderie, the bands, the crowds, all the pageantry, and I wanted to keep playing. But I graduated. No colleges called, and neither did the pros. So, to stay close to the game I loved, I decided to become a high school official. A referee. When I played high school sports, I learned the importance of integrity, good sportsmanship, and respect for the rules. Now, as a high school official, I get to help model these same values to others. Maybe the colleges and the pros didn't call it, but the kids in Alabama did. And now, I'm enjoying the competition, the camaraderie, the bands, the crowds, and all the pageantry of high school sports all over again.
Interested in becoming a licensed high school official? Go to highschoolofficials.com to learn more and begin the application process.
97.7 The Zone.
Now on Saturday, you are willing to give a little extra. Then you, because of your preparation and the things I'm trying to get across to you, and if we do that as a team, 11 at the time, 4 years from now, we'll be walking out of here national champion. And I'll tell you this, I expect nothing less.
97.7 The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly to mostly cloudy sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid-50s. An isolated shower certainly can't be ruled out across the Tennessee Valley, especially south of the river. But better opportunities for widespread rain are going to move in as we head into the overnight and then early into your Sunday morning. That's when the vast majority of the rain is going to fall. Scattered showers are going to be possible through Sunday afternoon. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
And coming up later today, you get your NFL divisional round playoffs. You got two games today. At 3:30, Jacksonville will travel to Kansas City, and the Giants will travel to take on the Eagles. And with a win today over Jacksonville, Kansas City would become the third team in NFL history to appear in 5 consecutive championship games. And Andy Reid, with a win, would become the third head coach in NFL history to appear in 10 conference championships, joining Bill Belichick, who has 13, and Pro Football Hall of Fame coach Tom Landry, who has 10. And as far as the Eagles and the Giants go, they'll meet for the third time this season. Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts comes in ranked 4th among quarterbacks with 760 rushing yards in 2022. Daniel Jones ranked 5th with 708. And it is the first playoff matchup in NFL history, and with both starting quarterbacks, each had at least 600 rushing yards in the regular season, and 5th with each having at least 500 rushing yards. The postseason game featuring the two starting quarterbacks, each with at least 500 in NFL history. The last time we saw it in 2015 with Russell Wilson and Cam Newton back when it was Seattle and Carolina.
Well, I'm just most interested in that Giants-Philly game tonight. That's going to be very interesting because see if the Giants can keep up this magic, and Jalen Hurts has been hurt.
Yes.
He's back.
Yes.
Can he continue the high level of play? I think Philly's around an 8-point favorite at home. Many people believe they're going to go to the Super Bowl. So can Brian Dable and the Giants keep up this magic? They've got a heck of a running attack. Daniel Jones is a heck of a player, no question about it. Saquon Barkley has had a tremendous year.
Yep.
And the interesting part is Jones and Barkley are both trying to get paid. So that's
coming in. The Giants are 4th in rushing. The Eagles are 5th.
Yep. So it's going to be a very interesting and entertaining matchup, no question about it.
Don't forget, though, that game has the local ties to it.
Yeah, it does.
Because Reed Blankenship, former West Limestone Wildcat,
did a game on the radio. Yep.
is with Philadelphia, and so is Quez Watkins from Athens.
Yeah, we had Alan Creasy on talking about Quez when he got drafted, and he went to Southern Miss. Speaking of Will Hall and the Golden Eagles and all that, but
so if you're looking for local ties, Philadelphia may be the one to go because there's some backyard bargains there playing for the Philadelphia Eagles. And then you got Kansas City and Jacksonville.
Yeah, and Jacksonville's been a great story because they got rid of Urban Meyer and they found a coach with a pulse and who could actually, relate to NFL players. And they had the great comeback. I mean, the unbelievable second half after the disaster in the first half from Trevor Lawrence, but he rallied and they won the game 31-30 and beat the Los Angeles Chargers. So this is going to be a really fascinating match. I still got to favor the Chiefs heavily with their big game experience. This is a young Jacksonville team, but they're certainly going in the right direction. No question about that. Under Doug Peterson. So we'll see. And then Sunday you got the Bengals and the Bills. That's going to be a heck of a matchup. When you talk about Joe Burrow trying to get to back-to-back Super Bowls, Josh Allen trying to break through with the Bills, and they're coming off that heartbreaking loss to Kansas City in the playoffs last year. And then the Cowboys and the 49ers. That's the other game that really interests me besides the Giants and the Eagles it's Brock Purdy. Can he continue this magic? Can he help the 49ers get to the NFC Championship game and potentially host it, even though the Eagles are the 1 seed? But the 49ers are a heck of a football team. Purdy is playing at such a high level, and if Purdy can at least get them to the NFC Championship game, I think Trey Lance will be on the trading block, and Jimmy G will be on the next boat out of town, which is probably where Eric Walmart is right now, trying to bail out the buckets.
The water. Well, don't forget, if you're looking for ties with the Kansas City Jacksonville one,
right?
Ramsey Robinson, former Butler Rebel, is the director of player engagement for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes. And we have a halftime score too. They've taken on some buckets and they've gotten some water out of the boat. And Arkansas leads 32-29 at halftime over the Ole Miss Rebels.
Well, they need to keep doing that. I mean, now's not the time to rest. But that's surprising though that Kermit Davis has that team on the road just 2 points trailing against Arkansas. I mean, that to me, that is surprising.
Yeah, I
think it is.
But it's because Arkansas is terrible.
They're showing it. Across the top 25 right now, if you're casing, if you think Georgetown is going to stop that Big East losing streak, you're mistaken. How many is it a row that they've lost? Like 300?
No, it's just awful. I can't believe how bad Georgetown is. And this is just brutality.
They're trailing Xavier 45-39 right now. Let me see if I can pull this up. I want to say it's like 40-some games or 50-some games. Georgetown, Big East. That's sad when you're typing in losing streak.
Such a
storied
program
in the computer to try to find this out. 28. They have lost 28 Big East games in a row. Doesn't look like they're going to stop today. Duke and Miami are tied at 38 at the half. Charleston's leading Northeastern 42-26. And Arkansas now is on top 32-29 over Ole Miss at half. So it's 32-29 Arkansas over Ole Miss.
Yeah, no doubt. But we appreciate University Kia for hosting us today. Arthur Sheeton and these guys, best Kia dealership in the Southeast, not just the state of Alabama. And it's been busy as always here. Hopefully we kept up our string with our great friend Ced McGinnis, the salesperson of the month. He's been rolling over here. Hopefully they sold their apropos 5 cars per 2-hour show. So we appreciate them for hosting us. UAH basketball later today from the women at 2 o'clock. The men on the Zone 2 will be at 4 o'clock. Alabama starting at 4. That's pregame, 5 o'clock. Chris Stewart and Brian Pasek on the call. And then the big question is, where will I be?
Well, you better
UAH.
You better come to UAH, because if not, next week's phone call. I mean, you thought you got made fun of by Schulman this past week. You have no excuse to come today. I mean, Alabama's on the road. You can watch that at any time.
What does it mean to be a part of the Southeastern Conference? That you scheduled your wedding and even your child's birth around your school's game? Of course. But it means more than that. It means you're home to hundreds of Fulbright, Truman, Goldwater, and Rhodes Scholars. It means starting out as the birthplace of American public higher education, and now leading the way in unmanned spacecraft. This is the SEC, and here It just means